A win, 2 goals, and a win over Manchester City. Sum up your emotions and your thoughts.
Yeah, no, it was a bit of a mad game in the end, really. First off, I thought we played well, but myself missed a big chance, and as a team we missed a few big chances. So, you know, you were hoping that wasn't going to come back and bite us. But again, I thought second half we played really well, put the chances away, and it's a great result.
Your first one was probably your hardest chance of the game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. But that's football. You know, you get chances. And I'm obviously disappointed I missed one in the first half, but you keep plugging away and keep getting them, and it's going to hit the back of the net. So I'll always back myself when I get chances, and it was a good finish.
That second one, I think there was 52,000 people in the ground on the edge of their seat. What was it like waiting for that offside decision?
It's horrible. That is the one downfall of VAR. You know, when you're waiting for a goal like that, especially when it's such a big moment in the game to get back ahead. So delighted to see that one go in and a bit of relief. And then we hung on really well. So.
You're the first Newcastle player to score 2 against Manchester City since November 2003. A certain Alan Shearer is in our studio right now. What are your thoughts on that, Harvey?
Good company. Good company, yeah. No, I was just delighted, really. And you know, I think I said last week about scoring, but it not counting. But you know, tonight it's a different story. That the 2 goals matter, and it's the 3 points. So you know, great result for us, and one we can really build on.
I was going to say, just how big a win does this feel for Newcastle United? Not just to beat Manchester City, but what can it do for Newcastle's season?
Yeah, no, I think we spoke midweek actually and said it's going to be a tough game, but it might be the sort of game that we need on the back of the run of form we've been on. A great result against obviously a real tough opponent, and hopefully a real confidence boost now for the team going into this next period, which is obviously going to be busy, full of games in different competitions. But you know, the Premier League is one that we really need to be picking up in, and this is a great start.
Just very, very finally, I didn't know if you knew, but it's Eddie Howe's first win as a manager in the Premier League over Manchester City. Might he be saying a thanks to you boys tonight?
I think, yeah, maybe, yeah. I didn't know that, yeah, but yeah, hopefully the first of many.
Top man, Harvey, well done, mate.
Thank you.
Massive congratulations.
Well, you should have seen Shearer's reaction when those 2 Barnes goals went in. He nearly turned the green room upside down. What a game he had. Al.
Yeah, he was. I thought the balance was much better today, and he played a big part in that. I thought he gave the fullback a really difficult game. Obviously, he missed an absolute sitter, but the part about that is that I like that. A lot of players would then go and hide. He actually put the most difficult one away, and it was a brilliant finish. And I was impressed with his performance, not only his goals, but his work rate and the way he went past the fullback, the way he tried to get balls in. And he was a constant out for Newcastle, as well as his hard work. So I thought it was a terrific performance from him.
Yeah, talk us through the first Harvey Barnes goal then. As you say, putting that out of his mind, what happened in the first half and
well, you somehow have to, and it's difficult when you miss a big chance like that, but you're hoping and praying you get a similar one. Obviously, there's nowhere near similar, but you're hoping to get some sort of opportunity. And they work it really well, I think, Newcastle. Man City would say it's a poor performance, but he played his part there in the little give and go, and it finds himself on the edge of the box. And then he's got to hit the target somehow, and he did that and got it into the corner. The goalkeeper, who made a couple of good saves, that little flick there around the corner, and he gets it back. Keeper had made a couple of good saves. He wasn't going to stop that one. It was perfect. It really was. He guides it with the instep into the corner of the goal, into the side net, and the keeper's got no chance. You can see him moving to his left-hand side. He's jumping around, but that is a very, very good finish, and exactly what Newcastle needed at that time.
Less than 5 minutes later, Ruben Diaz equalises for Manchester City, and then Barnes at the double, Shay, to win it for Newcastle and to wrap up the points.
Yeah, Al makes a good point about the mental strength. You know, that big chance in the first half. They bounced back second half and scored 2 goals. And the thing I like about this as well, Will, is there's a lot of players around him when it comes to the actual finish itself. We'll look at maybe the offside decisions because it was very, very tight. But if you actually watch the finish right at the end, there's 2 or 3 Manchester City players, and he didn't panic. It seemed like time stopped, and he just managed to get a flick into the corner. If you explain the offside now, it's just Voltemata with a header down to Guimaraes. I think the semi-automated shows that he's been played onside by Diaz. So that first one, and then there was a second check when Bruno heads this off the crossbar. You'll see it. Now Barnes is in the middle of the 6-yard. You can't really see him, but he's in the middle of that picture, and he's behind the ball. So in a sense, that's where the second check took so long, perhaps. But again, I think it's a clear positivity from the VAR. They got both decisions bang on. And again, you've got to give Harvey Barnes great credit. I think a brilliant header from Bruno, actually. Unlucky not to score himself, but at the same time, look at the many bodies around him. Now, it'd be easy to panic here, Will, but he just managed to keep the cool. Wait till the ball bounced up to that certain height to get something flicked on it. And again, it's a brilliant finish from Harvey Barnes. Yeah,
he absolutely loved it. And Al, I know you were impressed, weren't you, with the final 20 minutes after that and how Newcastle saw out the game?
Yeah, because the disappointment of conceding so soon after you've scored, then to come back from that again and get the goal, Harvey Barnes, I think they deserve great credit for that. But I think what was equally as impressive is that the way they held on to it. They didn't panic. Eddie then changed the system, made a couple of substitutions, and with the pressure that they've been under and with the performances that have been a little lacklustre in recent weeks, it would have been easy for them to fold under the pressure that Man City were obviously going to put on them. But I thought they stood firm and they thoroughly deserved the 3 points. And we know that there was a lot of missed chances in the first half and it could have gone either way. But I think in the second half, they were the better team and they deserved it.
What do you put the sort of the contrast in home and away form down to this season from Newcastle? Because if you count all competitions, that's a 6th consecutive win on the spin in all comps for Newcastle. Only 3 points in the Premier League on the road.
I think the big difference for me is the energy, is that when you're in front of 52,500 at home, they roar you on. They really do cheer you on. And it's perhaps not as easy at all to get away with not making that extra step. Whereas away from home, you haven't got that pressure, if you like. You haven't got those fans roaring you on. And I think that's been a big difference. But I think certainly today what made the difference for me was Harvey Barnes on one side and the two fullbacks. I thought with the energy they had, not only defensively, but in forward positions as well, I think Newcastle really benefited from that.
Yeah, well, there'll be some good nights out on the Toon, weren't there, tonight for those Newcastle fans?
Pep, it was an engaging game to watch. Did you deserve more, though, in terms of the result?
It's what it is. It's what it is. We entertained game. They had chances. We had chances. And at the end, the little margins and decisions and things. Good actions for them. And we lost the game.
When you say decisions, at the end I saw a lot of the coaching stuff going up to the fourth official. Was that about the second goal that Donnarumma felt he was fouled?
Well, it didn't happen against Bournemouth. It didn't happen today neither. So the referee said that I touched the keeper in a stable when they go out is not fault. It was not fault, okay.
Is that something that he'll have to get used to playing in this league, that perhaps goalkeepers don't get the protection that he will have been used to playing in Europe?
You have to ask to the referees and the rules and everything. Of course, when you play in Europe, in Champions League, it's completely different. But here, it's completely different. Since I arrived, I saw it.
That said, it was a brilliant game to watch. It was very competitive. Usually is when Newcastle play City at this ground. Was it just a case that did they take their chances? I think you created a lot.
Yeah, in the beginning, some chances, but we created too. So it was tight. They had chances, we had chances, but in the second half when we were better. And much better in that situation. And concede the goal, after equalised, and after concede again was a big problem. We had the chances at the end, but it was so tight and it was more difficult. And after that, they played the game they deserved to play.
Was that the big frustration, that you'd got back to 1-1 and then they scored again so quickly?
Yeah, it's happened. Sometimes it happens.
Thanks, Pep.
Clearly frustrated Pep Guardiola. What did you make of Manchester City, Shay, your old club, in that second half in particular?
Yeah, they were poor. I know he's complaining about the goal. We'll maybe have a look at that if we get another chance at Donnarumma, the challenge on Donnarumma. But at the time, we didn't see it. We were looking maybe at the offsides or not. He sounds frustrated in his interview after, and I think maybe that's to do with the second half performance. The first half, I think City were really good and we showed the chances at half time. But second half, they didn't really perform well at all, I don't think. And that will be a worry. And I suppose, like any winner, he's really disappointed after the game when they don't get a result. So I didn't see a foul on Donnarumma, and maybe if we see the pictures again, I might be proved wrong.
Well, let's have a look at it, shall we?
Let's have a look, yeah.
What do you see in here, Alan?
I know he went down, Al, but I don't know if there's enough on it. I don't know.
No, I think they got away with one when Liverpool scored one against them a couple of weeks ago and it was disallowed. They're not getting that as a foul, Shay. I understand his frustration because his team have been beaten and well beaten in the second half because they didn't create a lot. Not necessarily agree they played well first half. I think if Newcastle were on their game and finishing, they could have scored 6 or 7. So I think sometimes you have to come in and say the better team won today, and I think Newcastle deserved that. But I understand his frustration. He's raw just after the game. He's seen his team beaten in a really tough game. But for me, nothing wrong with the goal Newcastle scored, and the concern would be is that how many chances they're giving up, not on the refereeing decisions or bad luck. It was how many chances Newcastle created there, because if they had have had their finishing boots on, as I said, they should have scored 6 or 7. They missed 4 absolute sitters, and the way they carved City open would be the bigger concern for me.
Yeah, I guess the question, Shay, is where are Manchester City then in this title picture? You look, since the September international break, their only defeat was against Aston Villa. A lot of people saying City are back and they're going to be the closest challengers to Arsenal, with Liverpool obviously slipping away. But you look at the away form and the last 5 away games, as you can see there: Brighton, Arsenal, Brentford, Aston Villa, and now Newcastle, and 3 red dots.
Yeah, that's a worry. I mean, we talk about it. Newcastle's away form. That doesn't make good reading if you're a City fan either. You know, away from home has not been good enough. And again, Al makes a good point about the amount of chances they give up. If you look at Arsenal, for example, who's sitting at the top of the league, people get a shot at Arsenal these days. They're nearly celebrating. Man City are conceding too many chances, conceding goals as well. But we'll go back to the first half. Haaland had 2 1v1s, I think, in the first half today. Foden had an absolute sitter in the first half. So goals do change games, and Newcastle had their fair share of chances as well. But the amount of chances they give up, you know, if you're a team that's going to win the league, they have to be more solid at the back. I mean, Donnarumma made some big saves today as well to keep them in the game. So we have gone a good run, and you think they're back to their best. But then again, you know, they don't take the chances. They concede too many chances, and of course goals as well. And we all know Newcastle under the lights is a really tough place for any away team to go.
And look, we saw the table there, Al. So look, if Arsenal win the North London derby tomorrow against Tottenham, they go 7 points above Manchester City. So where are City in Shearer's eyes in this race now?
Well, they're certainly not as good as what and we might never ever see them as good as what they were when they were on that unbelievable run. I mean, the standard that they set in terms of winning trophies, goals, and all of those things, they really have been brilliant. I'm not sure we'll ever see them get to that again. They're certainly not the team without the brilliant Rodri and the protection that he gives them in that team. Not sure they've replaced him as yet. Whether they can find someone as good as him, probably not. But the concern would be, for me, defensive. They're always going to score goals, particularly with Haaland up front. But defensively, they're certainly not as sharp as they have been.
And they used to be so effective, so powerful, Shay, didn't they, on the transition? Is it as simple to say as, well, Rodri?
Well, he's a big key part of that. You know, he come back from injury, a cruciate ligament, obviously is a major injury, but then he's picking up these other niggles. Gonzalez is not the same player as Rodri, there's no doubt about that. I mean, John Stones has not played much football this season. He's on the bench again tonight. His contract's up in the summer. So again, I think Al's right. In attacking areas, they've got lots of different options, but defensively, he seems to be chopping and changing a wee bit, especially in the middle of the centre halves position. I don't know. It just doesn't. The balance doesn't seem 100% right, and it's easy to say that because 2 weeks ago after the Liverpool game, we're saying they're in the title race. They're going to challenge Arsenal all the way to the finishing line. So I think one bad result like tonight doesn't change that. I think they'll come the end of the season, they'll be very much still in the mix, I believe.
And is the problem, and I know we're trying to hammer this narrative perhaps, you know, too much, but if Erling Haaland doesn't perform, then Manchester City don't. I mean, Al, you look at the numbers, 14 of Manchester City's 24 Premier League goals have come from Erling Haaland. He scored 1 more than Newcastle in total this season.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's pretty simple. When you look at the number of goals he scored, other players have to fill in on that. But
is that a worry, though? You know,
it's a worry. There aren't too many times that he hasn't scored. Obviously, today's one of them. And I think that will continue throughout this season, so long as he stays clear of injury. There's no harm in having that much faith in one player, and that player meaning so much to that particular team, because everyone has their superstar player. But yeah, the worry would be is that when he doesn't perform, then other players have to chip in.
And Shearer can sleep well tonight for 2 reasons: 3 points for the Toon Army. And the record's still intact as well.
Been a good day.
Keep him in the 90s club. There we go. Shearer enjoyed that one. Shay, great to have your company as well. Big points for Manchester City dropped at Newcastle.